Here you have a nice example on how the journalists have perverted the concept of tolerance. So what I mean by this is that I opened the internet, and the first thing that shocks me is to see that BuzzFeed still exists. Like, this is the genuine news here, is that BuzzFeed still has readers. Although I'm a little skeptical about that. I think it just has two readers, like the person writing the article and myself. But it's quite possible that they're getting money from other sources, because when you look at their traffic, it's pretty low. So, like, how do they justify keeping their business open? Like, that should genuinely be an interesting news article. But the second thing is Pink News and many other publications saying that Pedro Pascal has changed the internet. He is making, as you can see, the internet a better place. Amazing photo. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, what could it have been? Like, why oh, I see. Right. So, Pedro Pascal is cuddling with another man. Now, this is where the tolerance kicks in, right? Like, Pedro Pascal is not part of my family. He's not my friend. He's not my employee. I don't care about morally judging him. I'm not going to change anything by morally judging him. And so, I expect the same from Pedro Pascal, right? Like, in a healthy society, Pedro Pascal doesn't get to judge me. Pedro Pascal doesn't get to lecture me. Pedro Pascal just needs to put on a business, be entertaining, and in exchange for that, there's a financial transaction. I watch his movies, right? Like, that's it. But what I'm getting instead, right? Like my tolerance is being pissed on by the journalists, right? Like, the journalists are taking my tolerance and they're taking a big dump on it, and then they're wondering, like, why do bigots appear in society? Because the thing is, like, okay, Pedro Pascal seems to have, like, a different relationship with this guy. Like, when you read the article, it seems that when they were young, they went through a lot of hardship. They lived together, paid rent together. Like, without each other, they would have been in misery, right? So, he is having, like, a special relationship with this man that went through thick and thin. And so, he's taking this picture to show how close they are. All right, that's fine. But then the journalists have to say that the rest of us men that don't have relationships like this, we are mentally broken. Like, they created the word toxic masculinity to describe what appears to be just masculinity. Because, like, every single time I ask the person, like, can you define what toxic masculinity is? They basically say, being competitive, being aggressive, being this and that. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but I wanted to be those things since I hit puberty. Like, it was a society that told me to be these things. It were, like, things that I was born as, and I felt comfortable as fulfilling, right? So, like, for instance, being aggressive. Like, yeah, as a guy, I like to play contact sports. I like getting into fights when it came to defending other people. Like, if I was to see that another kid in the playground is bullied, I genuinely enjoyed going and checking that bully. Right? Like, none of the girls did that. No one else did it, but, like, I felt good doing that. Like, it generally made me feel comfortable being aggressive when it came to defending another person. Or standing up for myself. Or standing up for the reputation of the people I love. Right? And you're coming now and you're saying, no, that's toxic masculinity. Like, you need to be meek. You needed to go and call the teacher. You needed to go to the HR lady and file a complaint. Like that's the correct way of thinking, right? And so, like, they're basically saying that if you're not like Pedro Pascal, like, that's what they're implying, that if you're not like Pedro Pascal, then there's something inherently wrong with you. And so, like, my tolerance now is being pissed on. Because I'm tolerant with Pedro Pascal, and why wouldn't I be? Like, he's doing nothing wrong, right? But I would expect that other people would be tolerant with me as well. Like my choosing of behavior, because I haven't broken any law, I haven't done any crime, right? And so, like, my behavior, my actions, my roles in society, like, you need to be tolerant of them as well, because otherwise we're going to have a problem. Like, if you're positioning yourself and you're saying, no, like, the way you're behaving is immoral, then you're placing yourself in front of my happiness. And the thing is, like, I'm not the only one. Like, overwhelmingly, men around the world feel the way I do rather than the way the journalists do. And this is why you get Trump elected. It's because you can't just mind your own fucking business. You gotta social engineer society. You gotta make sure that every single person doesn't just do the correct actions, right? Because we're not talking about crimes here. We're talking about mindsets and ways of thinking. So like the journalists, they want to control the way people think. Like they have an ideology, and as long as not every single person in society thinks the way they do and adhere to the morality that they expose, then society crumbles. And this is why you get conflict. The conflict didn't need to exist. You just had to, live your life the way you want to, promote people that you want to, but leave others alone. Why are you implying that someone that doesn't want to have this type of relationship with another man is toxic? Like, I can be friends with men without holding hands. And at the same time, if I see someone else holding hands, I don't have a problem either. But, like, you don't get to go and decide that I'm behaving in an incorrect manner. And so, like, this is the main issue that is happening with tolerance. Like, this is how they manage to subvert tolerance. It's like they require tolerance, but they're not willing to give it back. And it's like, well, tolerance is a two-way street. It's about mutual respect. Like, I tolerate you, but you also have to do some sacrifices and tolerate me. With things that, again, they're not illegal. They're not, like, why are you casting moral judgment on people that are strangers? They're from another country. They're not even related to you. You're not having any type of relationship with them. Because what you're doing is you're nagging. No one likes a nagger. People want to get rid of naggers. And it's all stemming from this assumption that we all agree that toxic masculinity is bad, even though you haven't really defined what toxic masculinity is, right? Like, it's just a title that sounds bad because it has the word toxic in it. But let me tell you this. The reason that men behave the way they behave is because this is how women expect men to be. Like, if tomorrow you were to have every single woman in the world being attracted to the beta type man that likes to be in the corporate wage cage, he is meek, doesn't have any opinions of himself, just supports whatever the journalists tell him to support, walks like a slouched individual, right? Like, if that is what women would like tomorrow, I guarantee to you, almost all men would try to live up to that archetype. Because at the end of the day, the reason men behave the way they behave is because that's what women are attracted into. And the reason women behave the way they behave is because that's what the top men that women try to impress are interested in having. Like, this is reality. This is evolutionary. This has gone for thousands of years. This is not something new. And so the main problem is that women actually are attracted to the toxic male archetype. Like, I know people that have finished the University of Medicine, they have a PhD, and they're still struggling finding a significant other. Meanwhile, when I was living in a neighborhood with people from all walks of life, every single drug dealer had at least 2 girlfriends. And the reason is, like, well, it seems that women are attracted indeed to the toxic masculine archetype. And what's interesting is when they can't find that because the culture has shifted and is trying to manipulate men into being non-toxic, they create new words. Big dick energy was the last word that they created. I'm not kidding. Like, look it up. Look like big dick energy, and what do you see? You see a Hollywood actor that's manspreading and is acting like a very toxic individual. And apparently all the women were salivating based on the picture where he was manspreading and he was oozing with masculinity. In other words, that was literally the definition of toxic masculinity. You show that picture to a random feminist and they'll be like, yeah, that's toxic masculinity. But they can't name it as such, so they change the word again. Now they say it's big dick energy. Because the reality is, you can change the culture. You can make people lie to themselves. You can make people lie to others. But biology is still there. People are attracted to what people are attracted. And so I firmly believe that the vast majority of men are behaving in a way that's attractive for women, while the vast majority of women are behaving in a way that is attractive to the men that those women are trying to impress. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.